Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to watch this webinar today. My name is Tony Crick. I'm the Civil Product Manager here at CTC Software. And today we're going to be discussing a little bit about AutoGrader. Okay, so what is AutoGrader? It's part of the project suite, Sim tools, civil tools. It's intended for the everyday Civil 3D user, creating design production drawings. It will work in the last 4 versions, all the way back to version 2019. So unfortunately, if you've got something older than that, this won't operate in that system. Hopefully everybody has moved on from 18 and up, and I'm going to be running 2023 today. So why AutoGrader? Well, it's a dynamic site grading made easy, basically. It creates feature lines. They're dynamic to the surfaces too, giving you flexible surface updates from all of the feature lines that it creates inside of your surface. The break lines get added automatically. That's what it does. That's a powerful tool for site grading. Many of you are probably already doing your sites with break lines, so this puts them right in there for you, giving you lots of flexibility. Then you can create template. Oops, that's a bad, I missed that. Not for clashes, that's Clash Seeker. But you can create templates in here too for other grading that you do that on a regular basis. If you're doing land development, which is what I'm going to be focused on today, I'm sure you grade a lot of your lots the same way. You figure out one way to do it, and you can replicate that over and over. And there's 3 ways to do it. We can do it parallel, which works well for ponding in particular. You can use it to offset curb lines and parking lots, things like that. It works great for also. Perpendicular, that will create lot lines and other features that you want to pull off something. Be creative. You might come in across another way to do something where you need a perpendicular line to be graded to. This is great for that too. And then we have template insertions where you can create break lines that are a consistent feature, let's say, and then you can insert those and have those graded too. So today we're going to be using the templates as lot pads and show you how that will grade your pad right into your surface. Did I miss a slide there? Maybe not. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, AutoGrader. Initially, you can, you don't really grade this site using 2D lines. You will lay it out using 2D lines. And then we can pick those in the subdivision, as you can see from the little screenshot there, to run our AutoGrader from. Now, some of this takes some setup. You have to be consistent with your layering and sort of your methodology. And once you get that set up and into your templates, your drawing templates, hopefully you're using drawing templates, things are easily replicated. And like I said before, the break lines get created in their dynamic to your surface. So they're linked lines, basically. And a lot of this is really handy for your typical land development grading. And like I said before, you can save out your templates to be used on, at sites where you're doing things over and over again. So with that, let's jump into Civil 3D and show you how it works a little bit. Or not. Okay. Okay. Hopefully you're all seeing that. I had a little trouble here. So what I have here, obviously, I've gone through and set this up like you probably would on a typical land development project. You'll lay in your alignments. We've got an existing surface here. We've got our boundary out here. And now we got to do our development. So you've probably gone through already, and you've probably laid out your lot lines. So you've got a pretty good idea how you want things to go. Maybe back here you haven't decided yet. We'll get to that. So I have already created a surface here for it, subdivision finished ground. I did that ahead of time, but we don't have to do that. We can create it right in AutoGrader. Oops, accidentally clicked it. Okay, so AutoGrader lives up here in our project suite, our sim project suite. And it comes with all our versions. When we do updates, when you reload it, you get that automatically. So this is the whole suite right here. So let's open up AutoGrader and see, look at it a little bit. Pull it over here. Okay, so I've already gone through and I've created some families, is what we call them. Now there's some setup to go with it. If you've seen some of our other videos, we've shown you where all this stuff is at. Kind of the pre-setup stuff that you do, and this will remember where you're at from use to use. So when we're the buttons over here, I'm not going to go through all that, but I talked about the surface, and we could create the surface right here. I'll just call it sub demo for right now. But then you can set your style, fix that, set your style right here, all the other stuff, and I just say create surface. Now we'll close this. We can come back over here and we'll see that it's there. So we can create it on the fly. Basically, you don't want to have to go ahead and do it like I've done here. Well, there's a couple of edits in here. I think I will, you know what, let's just go with we'll put everything in the sub demo. Let me change the name of that. I'll leave that like that. Let's call it finished ground. So we know, so we're going to create finished ground for this demo. Okay. All right, so with that, we can reopen AutoGrader. Okay, so what we have here, let me close this again. What we have here is we've already decided, we've kind of decided, what style, what type of lots that we want to have out here. So some of this feature line stuff, like this boundary, it's a feature line, and it's on a style. It's created a style, and that, depending on how you do it and the other styles that you use for your feature lines, can make a difference in AutoGrader. And by that I mean, so these lengths might not be the same as these lengths. So you won't have to figure out what that length is. Depending on the hierarchy, which is over here in your sites. So we've got this one is subdivision, and the feature lines that are here. So it's how all these land in there. Now that's a pretty dirty site right there, but it was pulled from corridor one. Let me see if this other, maybe we'll use one of these other ones. Let's see what's in these. So I don't have, but that's, anyway, that's, they won't get in the way. We won't worry about it. They won't get in the way, but that's what rules. So whatever's on top is what governs it, basically. If you don't know about it, maybe you should look into it a little bit. But it's going to run to, that you saw that boundary was existing. So it's going to go find that existing line out there. I'll show you that in a second. Hopefully I'll show you that. Okay. So we know we've already got these set up here. These are basement lines out here. The magenta. These yellow ones here are lookout lines inside here. We've got walkouts. I'm not sure we would have a walkout there, but just to show you. And then I'm going to show you along here too. Maybe these outside lines, maybe you want to grade to existing. We'll get to that. Or maybe you just want to push it all the way out, like over here. So we already have the lot lines in here. And AutoGrader will create them too, which we'll get to over here. But let's run through this real quick. Since we don't have that much time, there's a lot more to this that maybe we can get to in another webcast. But AutoGrader, like I said, will create the surface. Now let me show you one more thing before sorry, I keep getting ahead of myself here. This surface right here, we know there's nothing in there. Right? We already set this contours. We know if it was there, it would show up and we'll see that. I'm going to set it to contours and tins. So we can see them happening. And in fact, let me turn off that existing ground out there right now. Okay, so we got clean site where everything's new here. So we've already set up AutoGrader with some of these families, and I'll open those up and show you. So for those magenta, well, let's talk about the walkout lines. Or where are they? The lookout line, sorry. Let me open that up. And you see a graphic representation of how that is right there. I'll jump on my other screen over here. Hang on, I gotta get to it. Okay, so we're running actually three monitors here. things pop up. And we can only see them on one, unfortunately. So we have a graphic representation here, and this is the depth of our lots here. So it's 70 to 100 feet, 100 feet deep. We're going at a distance from a distance at slope, and what we're going to do here is, let me cancel and close this again. Explain a little bit more of what we're doing here. So we want our right-of-way line to be our anchor line. And we've already created these feature lines. These are feature lines that have elevation to them, and they have been pulled off of the alignment line through corridors, and then I sucked them into this drawing. But they have elevation, and so that's what it will grab. It will grab the line. It will attach all of our lot lines to there for grading. So it's all basically governed by, your alignment here, which is how you would start this thing anyway. Okay, so I've already set these up. We've already got our depths. You would already know that coming into it. And we get everything set up. I'll go through this. I'll pick this. So right here, I just said all of the right-of-way lines. You could pick them individually. You can pick them this way too. So this is for the method of grading to existing. You can pick them one at a time, however you choose to do it. So it tells you right there 4 feature lines. That's all those right-of-way lines. Let me just pop that open again. So these 4, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, those are all the existing ones. So it knows it's going to grab all of those. And it's going to make 24 feature lines in this family using these parameters. So I'll just save and close that and slide that over here. Sorry about that. I can move some of this other stuff out of the way. Here, there's a lot going on here today. Okay. Oh, that's not going to work. Let me just put it here, and I'll click run. Let me see if we can. Let's do this. Let me put this over here a little bit so we can see what's happening. Okay. So we said we're going to run them. It's all these yellow lines are going to be created. So there's 24 of them here. So I'm just going to tell it to run. Oh, it's going to go in this surface. I didn't want that. I should have said that before. We need to change that. Well, it's after it gets done running, I'll fix that. We'll go through the settings thing over here too. So there, it made that surface. Let me try something here. I'm not sure if it will, if I just change this, if it will delete that. Let's just see if it does. The beauty of AutoGrader is you can just rerun things and it takes care of itself. Let's see if it gets that out of there. Then obviously we'll have to change the rest of these as well. Let me see, let's close this and see if it got it out of there, because I don't know if it did. Being that it's the exact same surface. Yeah, it's not. Oh, it is showing up. Okay, sorry about that. Let's just undo out of that. Okay, starting from scratch. Let's repeat that. Okay. Get that up again. I'll change this back. Finish ground while I'm in here, so we don't do that again. I'll change all of these. I'm gonna leave that at none for right now. Okay. All right, let's just rerun that then. So I kind of just want to show you today how quickly you can get these things graded out, and we'll touch on grading to daylight here and hopefully get to these ponds too. So we did those lookouts, and what like I was telling you before, that where these are going, so they're 100 foot is what you're saying. Where I mentioned before that because of the hierarchy of how these things are in here, these feature lines, that this went ahead and just reached right out to this boundary line. Okay, so that's part of where it takes a little setup to get ready to go. Now you don't have to necessarily do that. It's nice, it works as a nice feature, but we've added a new feature in here, and we can grade to a target line. And I'll show you that when we get over here in these rocks over here. So if you don't do that, or you're not familiar with how it is, there's kind of a shortcut to it, if you want to say. And some of these other lines do the same thing. These back of boundary lines do the same thing here. And you could run it at your standard length and create a parallel. And again, I'll show you that when we get over here. But let's go through these again. So the walkout lines, it's the same thing, same 4 feature lines. This one will create 47. So save and close. And some of these settings over here are just what type of break line you're going to get, and you might need to, if you have a lot of curves and stuff, you might want to maybe tighten down this supplementing factor to get more vertices in there. So if you need to do that, if your surface isn't looking quite right, that might be something to look into, to give that a try. And you can always just rerun it, change things back, and run it again. So let me just run this one. And you might be thinking, hey, that takes a long time, but it's doing a lot of work, and it's doing a lot of the work for you. So it's creating all this stuff, and it's putting these right into the surfaces, which I'll show you here in a second after I run all these lot lines. And like I said before, the setup is, and keeping things consistent is how you can make this thing work in the most efficient manner. So these are the walkout lines, and there's a lot of those in there. And then these basement lines back here. Let's run those. So you can already see the surface is coming together here. And it's not going to be perfect. Of course, you still have to go through and do some of your manual editing, moving things around and such, but this takes care of all the heavy lifting for you. 90%. What this is intended to do is save you a lot of time, a lot of headaches. You know, as long as you get things going ahead of time, I think you'll find that this will really save you lots of time. So now we've got our full surface here. You can see it's graded all the way out the back. Again, down here, it went and reached for those lines right there. Came all the way out. They don't match either. I'll show you that. So those are also just 100 foot, but it's going 4% up for 40 feet at the front to get to our setback. And then this particular one is -4 back down to the feature line. I'll say save and close there. Okay, let me close this. Get back to our drawing. Let's get back to that area. Okay, so over here, this area is blank. Now you can play this out in a few different ways. Let me turn that surface off real quick. Oh, and since we're in there, set that to rebuild automatic. Since we're in there, I'll show you all these break lines I got created. So here's the break lines I got created there. So you got your lookout lines, lockout, and they're all on their own break line. And you can manually edit those if you want. But if you do edit them manually and you rerun it again, you'll lose those edits. So in that case, you might want to pull them out. In other words, put them on a different layer and then do your edits to them. And then you can rerun it and it will treat them, as long as they're still in the surface, as a separate entity. And AutoGrader will grade right around those. It will include them, but grade around them. So back here, we've got a blank area. So maybe we didn't know what we wanted to do, whatever the scenario might be. But we need to grade these in, and we want them to match, the rest of these. So we got 60 foot basically between them. Oh, I went over there to turn that surface off. Let me turn that off. I'll get the Tims off of there anyway. So you get the idea. You see what happens there. Let me put them on 1 and 5. Say 1 and 5. Okay. Oh, we got some crazy stuff going on here. Not sure what's causing that. Must not have something set up right there. So it's not the best idea. I'm not going to try to fix it right now. I think it has to do with these right here. Reach into these, and they're probably not at the right elevations. Maybe we'll play with that a little bit when we get there. But as long as it's set up, and obviously this one wasn't to the best, you'll get a better surface than that. You should get a better surface than that, because I see some things that would probably are not desirable. But again, you can play with it and make these work better. Maybe you just want to, in this area, flatten those out or something. But let's get to what I was going to show you back here with some of our new features. So I've already created, let me get that out of there. I've already created a family for those back there. And I call them basement lot lines east. I'm just assuming they're going to be basement lot lines east. And all I did was, part of the beauty of AutoGrader is I just copied this one to be the same thing and put them over there. And the reason I didn't include them in the full set is because maybe I wanted to do something different there. I wanted a little more control over those outside lots. So I just made a copy of those to put over here, and I'm going to do those a little different too. So the other ones are, let me show you that again. These other ones here, they're grade to existing. So it already found all of those that were on that layer. So we came off of the perpendicular, we're coming off the normal along the child is where it's going from. We do some other settings in here. You can check this on if you want to change where they land. But they're grabbing just those layers. Whereas these, okay, I copied it over. Oops, that's what I wanted to show you that those are coming from, oh, I did, the existing. So these aren't. So we want to do these along that back property line. Now I keep forgetting to do that. Slide this back over so we can see. Looking at one monitor. Here, okay. So I called them east, and they're gonna be in here. And I already changed this ahead of time. I did some of the baking ahead of time, I guess. So we created them, or we're not using the created ones, we're making new ones. And another thing I did here is I made another feature line that was the length of this back lot area here. So right here, I just made it different because this other one was on the right of way, and I didn't want that to control where they went when it did the rest of these. So I made another feature line right here on top of it. Oops, oh, I got two. Oh, I did want that one. I'm sorry. That's for showing you the daylight lines. So let me just grab that one again. So we know the distance is the same as along here. Everything will be the same. Got a little ahead of myself there. So it's gonna do what it's gonna do. It's gonna create new lines right there. So I didn't have to have the lines already. And they're 60-foot wide lots. So I already said that. So 60 foot, I'm going to start at 0, 0, 0. And remember, that's not from this alignment right here. It makes its own stationing on the parent line there. And it depends which way you drew it, which is 0. I think that 0 is up here and it goes down this way. I don't really remember. But I just hit the plus, and I can take them out of there if I want to. I can take out however many of them I want. If I just want a few to land in there, I can do that. And maybe we'll run through that scenario when we do a few daylight lines down there, but for now, I just want to show you that. So I say okay, and I'm going to save and close so we can see this happen. And I'm going to click run right here. So it's already measuring along here and it's figuring out, and this is what I was talking about before, where this is not, I don't have it, so it's going to run to this line right here through the feature line. It's not grabbing that one. So what I can do here is I can just go ahead and open that up again, and let me try something else here. So I think I did this. Yeah, I did this one a little different. So let me actually I'm not gonna do out of that. But that's what I was talking about right there. I'm not sure if it will overwrite those. I don't think it will. So I think I have to undo. Let's do this before I undo, just to show you. I can just change where this back one goes to. So I can change this and tell it to target a feature line right here. Okay. And then I can click there and it's gonna bring me up this same window right here. And I'm just gonna go say this and I'm gonna grab it. So now wherever it sees, hopefully I did this right, wherever it sees this line in this stationing area, it's going to run to there using these parameters. So let me just hit run right here. So there you go. So now it ran to there and it used the same parameters that were set up before. Now let's try it. Let's see what happens. I think it's going to put on top and on top. But so I have this one set up already with different scenario. Yeah. Nah. You see what's happening there. Well, yeah, I don't want to have to undo. But that's kind of what's happening back there. So, but maybe you want to, like I said before, maybe you want to grade back here. You don't want to be moving all that dirt. You want to go, you can grade these two existing out here. So I set this one up and I just called it lookout. To grade two existing. Let me just show you something we can do here. I'm just going to pull out, we'll take a shot at where these are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll take out 8, 9, 10, and 11 from there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'll delete those out and I'll rerun it. Hopefully that will be a blank area. Oh, wrong way. Wrong way. No, that's okay. Well, I can add them back into right. Let's do this. Take them all out, put them all back in. Like that. Okay, never mind. Not sure what I did wrong there, but we can run those daylight ones up here too. They won't look as good because it doesn't match, because I already went through and you would too, know where you're at, what you want to see there, how you might want to grade those out. So we close that. Open this up. So I already set this one up too using the same thing. So I set this one 60 again along the whole length here. Here's what let's do. Let me pull that out. Let me do this. I'm gonna just leave those two that are there, and I'll take out these. Looks like they're all back again. Well, let's rerun it. See what happens. Okay. All right. There you go. Auto creator. Put them in there. So unfortunately, I don't know which one it was. So let me just go in here and suck a couple of them out of there. I think we took those out, right? Let's just take that one out. See what happens. See where we're at. Apologize. I didn't run this scenario ahead of time. This was something I wanted to do on the fly. To kind of show you how easy this is. But I think you're already seeing some of the time savers that are built into AutoGrader here and the ease of redoing things. And you can undo too. Okay, yeah, I got one of them out of there. Okay, so let me take those other two out then. Do it one more time, because I did set up where this will fill in correctly, and I want to show you that. So let me take out these two guys and just run it again. I apologize for not having all my ducks in a row right away. If you have any questions, you go ahead and post them in the question chat. I'll try to get to them at the end here and answer them to the best of my ability. Okay, I don't know why they didn't come out of there. Do a save and close. Let me just get those out of there. Do a save on this. So here's another beauty of AutoGrader. Through your options, you set up where you want your things to go. Oops. Where you want to save templates to, like I mentioned before, to use in the future. You set a path right here to where you want them to go. And they are a JSON file. So what I learned today, I didn't know this, that if you put them into a file and you want to make a copy in that file, in your folder, you can't do it because it's a JSON file. So it doesn't actually read that name. The reason I did this is to show you an easier way to save those than having to type it in. So I'm just going to copy that. And then I'm going to hit the save over here. And it's already pathed to where I got a couple in there already. Just a little kind of side time saving trick here. So if I put it in there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this one. And if you want to get it back, you can just go to that folder and pull it back in. So I think if I delete this, everything's going to go. Yeah, so everything's going to go. So we're back to square one. So that's kind of a handy thing too, if you want to send things out, and it's a quick way to get rid of them. So let me do this one. Let me open this one up. So this one I'm going to do grade new also. So it's going to create new lines, and here's the parameters that I have set up for it right here. And in this case, I'm going to tell it to slope to surface. That is a new feature. I believe it's new to the latest release. This one might be too. A couple of these are, but we've got, so there's more flexibility built into what you target for your lines now. Some of the new features. So I've already gone through and I picked right here, subdivision. Every surface that is over in your tool space tab over here will automatically populate there for you to select. A lot like the native tools. And here's what I said about create parallel. So it's going to make a grading line on the back off of these. And then you could do it from every vertice across here if you wanted to. In fact, let's do it. I'll show you, and we can take them off. And the advantage of that is you get feature lines out there that again you can edit to help in your grading. So I just went here and I just went and grabbed this one right here. You see it's highlighted right there. Okay, that's our parent line, again with the stationing, and I'm going to use the same stationing, the 60 foot. I already did that. I preloaded it in the interest of time. So okay, so it's going to do that, and now we're going to put those in there. It's going to make 15 feature lines. So let's run it. And if you only wanted to do a section of it too, you can come in here and click this range right here. Okay, it didn't find the end. Must not have it exactly the right length. That's okay. I could use the other line too to see where it goes, but you probably wouldn't want to run the whole. Likely, you wouldn't have a whole stretch like this where you would grade to existing. You're likely doing it in other areas. So here's those parallel lines I was talking about. So those are feature lines too. So those can be edited just like any other feature line, and they're attached to the surface, so you can change them however you want to. Okay, you can adjust those if you want to pull them out, bring out for whatever reason. Now, and this can also help identify where you might need a retaining wall. For instance, back here in this existing ground, there was a big flat area out here that got pretty low. I mean, if it was something that violated grade, you might want to put a wall back there, and you can build walls into your family too. So let's get to putting in our lap pads. So there are a couple things I want to point out about that. So the lap pads are right here. These are call them templates, but they're really just feature lines. They're really just feature lines that have been pre-created at whatever you wanted to put in there, okay? For your grading scenario. Now this one was flat. That's why it was all zeros. But you put your slopes in there, you know, however you expect that to be. Some of them already talked about you doing things ahead of time, getting a plan in order, which you would have to do anyways. So, oh, the ponds too. Well, let's do these pads one at a time. I was going to say we can, once you get it all done and you start tweaking things, you can run everything all at once. That's the run all button that maybe you noticed at the bottom of the tool. And there I go, squishing it out again. Pull it over here. Okay, this run all I was talking about. This, it will run every family that's in here. So we already have these pads created here. I mean, I'm sorry, I can't zoom and pan with the autograder open. The developers say that's a difficult thing to make happen. So unfortunately, when you do want to look at things, you do have to shut it down. So let's do these lookout pads right here. So let me open that up. So the object is the lookout pad. Okay, and that's, now we are modal. So I can come in here. So that's this one right here. I'm not going to click it because I think I'll lose where we're at there. Oh, I guess I have to now. Dang it. Okay, Okay, now I got it. And then the base point. Here, this is important. The base point is where you want this thing to land. Where do you want it to go in relation to, and I'll show you that in a second, where these lot lines would be. So I'm going to pick, this is the center of it. You can put this, I just put a little point there for the center. I'm going to pick the mid right here because it's going to go midpoint of midpoint. It's going to go out and it's going to find the these lots. It's going to find the lot lines that it's going to look for. That's why setting up is really important. It's going to look for those, and this rotation, I want it to be 180, and you'll have to play with that too, most likely. And then it's going to be 40 feet off of the parent line. Okay, so that's the right-of-way lines. Okay, that we use before. So it's going to be 40 feet off. That's your setback distance, whatever that is. And you can make it however you want. It's going to be start at 4% to that midpoint right there. So we've got some other formatting in here too of what it's going to look for. And you can make, again, a new layer right here if you want to. You can create a new site for it if you want to. A lot of flexibility. Let me slide this out of the way. Well, actually, save and close. And I'll close again because they're all zoomed in. We can't see. Get this over here. Pull up my autograder again. And then I'm going to run those lookout pads. So I'm just going to tell it to run. It's going to go out and it's going to find, you see they're dropping in, it's going to find all of these lookout lines. And the settings, whether it goes to the high point of those lines or the, excuse me, or the low point, there's some flexibility there too. Maybe you saw that. I'll open it back up again when it finishes running here. Again, a lot of processes going on. It's going to add them to surface to that sub demo that we made. And it's going to grade around those pads all at once. And anytime you change any of those, if you change that template for the slopes like I showed you before, you rerun it and it will regrade for them. And they're part of the surface too, so if you move them around, it's going to regrade. Take a little bit of time here. It will be much faster on your machine. We've got a lot of stuff going on here with these webinars. It doesn't work as quickly as it would in regular. So there, it found them all, and it put them in there. It even did a pretty good job on this one here, which is an oddball. But if I take this and just move it, part of the surface. So let me open that up again real quick. So I see we're running out of time. And I'll show you those settings. You know what? Let me kill that one. So I can show you in this one, and then we can run that too. I want to try to run them for you. But the settings was right here. I kind of went through that real quick, so maybe you didn't see it, but so you can have it slope from the parent line, you can have it from the high point or the low point, and you can play with those and adjust those on the fly. I have these going to the high point right now, the adjacent feature. So that's the lot lines. And we run that. I don't know how long this is going to take. If the other one took that long, I'm afraid to waste that time. So if you have any questions, again, go ahead and put them in the chat. But you can see how dynamic this is and how quick it is, and it's using native things. It's just doing them in a more expedited manner, so to speak. So it's creating things on the fly that you can recreate over and over again and adjust to make things work. You're probably thinking about over here, hey, those lot lines didn't go all the way. Well, I mean, you could draw those ahead of time like we did over here and just tell it to leave. There's a setting in there to leave the lot lines there, to not overwrite the lot lines. Or you could put the lot lines on another layer too, and just turn them on, turn them off. There's a lot of ways to handle it. It's AutoCAD, a lot of ways to do things. So that you got your lines still showing up there. Yeah, this is taking a very long time. So I'll just leave it at that. I'm going to run those ponds for you real quick too. Hopefully I was going to get everything in there and then do a run all for you and show you. But unfortunately, this is taking longer. When I did this ahead of time, it didn't take quite this long, but I knew I was going to be up against the clock. So there, it's put a bunch of them in and save and close and close. So here they are. Did the same thing, and so like this one didn't land in there quite right, and I don't think I'm going to take the time to move it right now, but I would take this and I would move it. I would rotate it, about this line, and then I would attach it midpoint between these two and drop it in there, and it will grade right around there. I'm just afraid that we'll run out of time here. And I want to run these ponds real quick. They should go really quick. I don't know why I keep going over there. We'll do these ponds. They're all set up to go too. Set up those up ahead of time. And we've got two ponds here, and maybe one's like an infiltration pond or something, one's at a higher elevation. They're not, but if you wanted to have an overflow from one to the other, from this little one to the big one, for example, you could just build a swale in there, again with feature lines, and it would grade around that too. Fortunately, we don't have time to do that. That was something I was going to do. But here's the pond set up to go. Typical pond. Pull this over, and it's going to do both these ponds at the same time. So because they're on the same layers, same everything, and typically for ponds you would probably do that anyway, so it's a good one to save out as a template family to use. Now, some of the things might change. Your benching, some of your sloping might change a little bit, but really easy to use for that. You can see they're getting graded in there, and it's done just like that. So we know those are bad elevations. We would have to make some adjustments, and all I have to do is change the parent and fix things, or the swale in there. You could also build if you needed to build like a berm on the backside or something, if you wanted it. If you had a low side, that would be easy enough to do too. So with that, I see we're at the end of our time. So if there are any questions, I don't see any. Let me move on here. So if you wanted to get this, it's part of the project suite. CTC Sim Project Suite. You can contact your reseller or go to our website, and we have more videos posted there too to learn about it. Questions? I don't see any. So with that, I thank you for coming today, for spending your lunch hour or whatever time it is where you're at. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.